his bridge, when we do something like that, I'm actually walking on his bridge so I can get to him. And that's what we call his bridge. Now, it's a long bridge when your arm is locked out. That's what's called long bridge technique. Because it's like having a short bridge lengthened. And that's what's known as long bridge. So like Hang Sao and Ding Sao and your Sudon Tao are long bridge techniques. And we developed something that's called Chang Kiu Lick, which is long bridge power. And we're not going to need that for this particular drill. But you should understand what a sinking bridge is. Now a sinking bridge, very much like in the Indiana Jones movies when he's going across that rope bridge and then the bad guy's sitting there sawing it. And when he gets to the middle, he plops down. That's a sinking bridge. When someone's trying to walk on your bridge, rather than giving him a solid bridge to walk on, you do what's called a sinking bridge. And the most common of the sinking bridges is Dai Bong Sao from the Chum Kiu form. Now you know in the Chum Kiu form how you've got the two, like you flip up and like this and then you kind of catch up and you sink your hands. You flip up and you kind of catch up and sink your hands. That's a sinking bridge. And in the Pak Sao cycle, I'm going to do two sinking bridges. If Jason does a Pak Da against me and I stay stiff, look at the effect it has on my body. And my whole body gets like jammed down into the oncoming punch, which is what he wants. Now on the other hand, if I let my hand flop down, what it does is it eats up, it gives him what I call butter, and it eats up all that force that was pulling me down and into the punch before. And that's what's called a sinking bridge. Now the reason that works is, first of all, I'm not giving him something solid to walk on, but I'm also messing up his bone alignment. Now we all know that when the wrist is kinked to its maximum flexion, that calls chi to that particular place in your body. You're all familiar with that idea? See, if you kink any joint to its maximum flexion, chi, your internal energy, your body's life force is called to that kink. Now for example, let's say you use a tan sao and you don't bend your wrist. Now resist my push, don't let me close your arm. Not too bad, you see she's shivering and it probably kind of hurts your elbow, right? Now, make a kink in your wrist as much as you can. Now resist me. See how much stronger it is? It's ridiculous. Same thing with Wu Sao. Don't put a kink in the wrist, try to stop me. Feel it? Okay, now put a kink in your wrist. See the difference? It's ridiculously stronger. Now, the same thing goes for Gum Sao or Pak. When someone's doing a Pak on you, if their wrist is kinked, they have that same kind of solidity for their push. So if Jason is allowed to have a nice bend in his wrist in that Pak, just put your Pak on there and push. See, he can push like crazy. He's not even shivering. And I'm over here like putting all my weight because he has the maximum flexion of his wrist. It means chi is present. Now, if on the other hand, I Dai Bong Sao when he does his Pak, look at his wrist. Do you see how there's no bend in his wrist now? That means I've taken away the chi out of his block. So I'm destroying his what I would call push line. He doesn't have that ability. If I fell forward, I would just fall. He's not stopping me anymore. See what I mean? He's got nothing. And so when we're doing the Pak cycle, you need to flop that hand down in order to destroy his what I would call Pak line or push line. Now freeze. Now in the same way, bone alignment, when he goes to grab me on the next one, if I let my arm straight, look at the bone alignment that he has. You all know about the alignment of the elbow? And when he pulls me, see how my bones are all in a line? He can pull me, no matter how hard I resist, he can pull me pretty easily. Okay? And that's because of bone alignment. See, when she grabs me, and she has her elbow here, she can pull all she wants. She's never going to pull me off my stance. But if she drops her elbow and pulls me, she can pull me right off my stance because of bone alignment. That works for you and against you. So when Jason does the first Pak, I took away the chi, I took away the bone alignment. And when he does for the second one, if I leave my arm straight, I give him my bone alignment to use against me, and I give him his bone alignment to give him the strength to pull. But instead, if I do the Dai Bong Sao from Chum Kiu, instead of doing it like this, if I go, instead of going, like I do in the Chum Kiu form, if I go, and I do them both, but with offset timing, what will happen is the first one will flop, and the second one, as he grabs, see, I mess up his bone alignment and mine. Now, when he goes to grab, his wrist is messed up, and my bone alignment, see, so he's got boing, 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 and there's not much pull. I mean, he can pull me, but it'll take a long time before he gets that shoulder finally locked out and actually has any effect on my body. It'll be all this, you know, slop. So watch the difference if I stay stiff on both. See what happens to me? That's what happens to beginners. Okay? Now watch what happens if I flop. It has no effect on my body at all because I'm doing what's called sinking bridge. So that's going to be the basic POC cycle, and then we're going to do some new things that I created for the POC cycle that even you haven't seen yet. Okay? So let's get partnered up. Close.